Fairlight is an audio workspace buried in Davinci Resolve, and today we're continuing our series on Fairlight with the mixer. The audio mixer provides a set of graphical controls that you can use to assign track channels to output channels, adjust EQ and dynamics, add filters and Fairlight effects, set levels, record automation, pan stereo, surround, and immersive audio, mute, and solo tracks. The audio mixer exposes two sets of channel strips with controls that correspond to the tracks in the timeline. The leftmost set of the channel strips expose one set of controls for each track in the timeline, while the rightmost set of channel strips expose another set of controls for each bus you've created to bus the mixed audio tracks to your set of desired output tracks. At the top of the channel strip, each track can be differently color-coded to help you keep organized when the number of tracks inevitably becomes more than you can keep track of. The number of the timeline track corresponding to each channel strip appears just below the color code. Next, there is a drop-down menu that lets you patch inputs, patch buses, and configure the input settings to audio signals routed through Blackmagic Design or other hardware interfaces. And a drop-down menu lets you choose the order of processing per track of the EQ, dynamics, and effects. The next panel has the Fairlight effects, VST, and audio unit effects that you apply to tracks from your effects library, with the controls for enabling and disabling each effect, opening an effect's custom controls, deleting that effect, and a button to globally mute or enable all effects on a track. Double-clicking the Dynamics panel exposes a set of dynamics controls with three sets of controls corresponding to an expander or gate, a compressor, and a limiter that can be used separately or in concert to manage the dynamics of the audio of that track. Double-clicking the EQ panel exposes a 4-band parametric equalizer with additional high and low pass filters that has both graphical and numerical controls for boosting or attenuating different ranges of frequencies of audio on each track. You can select from 4 different types of EQ filtering from the equalizer type drop-down menu, with options for earth, the defaults, air, ice, and fire. These equalizer types affect the curves aspects and Q factor of the transfer function. Each band has controls for the filter type, bell, low shelf, high shelf, and notch, frequency, gain, and Q factor, with the available controls for each band of EQ changing depending on the filter type. A pan control compatible with stereo and surround panning. You can drag within this control to adjust the pan, or you can just double-click to expose a pan window. What controls are available in the pan window depend on the mapping of the audio track, but both stereo and surround panning controls are available with corresponding numeric controls. Option double-clicking the pan control of the mixer opens an alternate 3D audio pan window, whereas the regular pan window lets you do stereo and conventional 5.1 and 7.1 surround panning. The 3D audio pan window lets you do the kind of spatial audio positioning enabled by advanced surround formats such as Dolby Atmos, Oro 3D, and NHK 22.2. The bus outputs buttons let you assign the track or subs channels to one or more of the main buses, and the group button lets you assign the track's channels to up to 10 groups, as well as assign a VCA. The track name is mirrored from the track name found in the header controls of the timeline. You can customize the track's name in the mixer by double-clicking and typing the name of the field. The arm, solo, and mute buttons are identical to the controls found in the track header controls of each timeline audio track. Obviously, arm lets you enable a track to be recorded onto, solo lets you mute all other tracks in order to play that track in isolation along with any other solo tracks, and mute disables audio playback from that track. The decibel meter shows you the volume in decibels that track is currently set to. The level indicator is a real-time graphical representation of a track signal measured from -60 decibels to 0 decibels, and at the bottom, each track's vertical faders let you adjust the level of that track and perform automation recording. As a side note, starting with Davinci Resolve 17.4, the mixer panel has changed from prior versions. Some of the items are in a different order than earlier versions. Also, when using the fixed legacy busing option, the bus structure as it applies to the mixer panel also offers different busing usage. The redesigned mixer panel makes a more efficient use of the Fairlight page, but rest assured that no features have been removed, simply improved. Here's a playlist of other videos about Davinci Resolve. If you liked the video, consider subscribing.